My daddy kicked us out. Can we sleep in your barn tonight?" What the cowboy said made her cry. The evening air was cool and still as the cowboy finished tying the last gate of the barn. The sun was low, painting the sky in soft orange and purple colors. He liked this time of day because it was quiet. The animals were calm, and the world felt slow and peaceful. He wiped his hands on his jeans and took a deep breath, ready to head inside for a simple meal and a long rest. As he turned toward the house, he noticed a shadow near the fence. At first he thought it was just a tree branch moving in the wind, but then he saw a small figure step forward. His hand rested near the lantern he carried, not out of fear, but out of habit. Living alone on a ranch taught him to always be careful. A young woman stood there holding the hands of two small children. Her hair was tied back in a messy knot, and her clothes looked dusty and worn from a long walk. The children stayed close to her sides, their eyes wide as they looked at the barn, the animals, and the man standing in front of them. They looked tired, like they had not rested in a long time. The cowboy walked closer, keeping his voice calm and steady. He did not want to scare them.
"Evening," he said softly.
"Can I help you?" The woman swallowed and took a small step forward. Her hands trembled as she held on to the children. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said. Her voice was quiet but strong, like she was trying to be brave. "We don't have anywhere to go tonight." The cowboy looked at the children. One was a little boy, maybe 5 or 6 years old, with dirt on his cheeks and a torn shoe. The other was a girl who looked a bit older, holding a small cloth doll close to her chest. Both of them watched the cowboy closely, as if trying to decide if he was safe.
"What happened?" the cowboy asked. The woman took a deep breath.
"My father kicked us out," she said. "We had an argument. He said we were a burden. He told us to leave and not come back." Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them away. "We walked all day. We don't need much. Just a place to sleep for one night. We saw your barn from the road. Can we sleep there, just on the hay?" The cowboy felt a tight feeling in his chest. He had heard many stories in his life, but something about the way she spoke, about the way the children leaned into her, made this one feel different. He remembered nights from his own past, when he had nowhere to go and no one to ask for help. Those memories were old, but they still felt close. He looked back at the barn. It was clean and dry, filled with the warm smell of hay and animals. He had rules for his ranch. He liked things simple and quiet. Letting strangers stay was not something he usually did. But then he looked back at the woman and the children, standing in the fading light, and his heart told him what his mind could not ignore. "You can come in," he said. The woman's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "It's going to get cold tonight. The barn's warmer than the open road." She let out a small sound that was half a laugh and half a sob. The children looked up at her confused, and she knelt down to hug them. "He said yes," she whispered. "We're safe for tonight." The cowboy opened the gate and led them inside. The barn was quiet, except for the soft sounds of animals moving and breathing. He picked up a few old blankets from a shelf and laid them out on a clean patch of hay. "It's not much," he said.
"It's more than enough," the woman replied. The children sat down right away, touching the hay and laughing softly as it tickled their hands.
For the first time since he had seen them, their faces relaxed. The boy pretended the hay was a mountain and climbed on it, while the girl carefully placed her doll on one of the blankets like she was putting it to sleep. The cowboy watched them for a moment, a small smile forming on his face. He went to the side of the barn and brought back a jug of water and a few pieces of bread wrapped in cloth. He handed them to the woman. "Here," he said. "It's not a big meal, but it'll help." Her hands shook again as she took the food. "Thank you," she said. "You don't know what this means to us." She tore the bread into smaller pieces and gave them to the children first. They ate quickly like they were very hungry, but they still said thank you after every bite. The cowboy felt something warm in his chest. It had been a long time since anyone had eaten at his barn. They sat in quiet for a few minutes. The lantern light flickered on the wooden walls, casting soft shadows. The woman finally spoke again. "My name is Lily," she said. "This is my son Noah and my daughter Rose." The cowboy tipped his hat. "I'm Daniel." Lily looked around the barn. "You live here all alone?" Daniel nodded. "Just me and the animals. Been that way for a long time." She hesitated, then asked, "Don't you ever get lonely?" He thought about the long days, the silent nights, and the way the wind sounded when it moved through the fields. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But you learn to live with it." Lily smiled softly. "You're kind. I can tell." Daniel felt his face grow warm and looked away. Just doing what anyone should. The children finished eating and curled up on the blankets. Noah yawned loudly and Rose rubbed her eyes, still holding her doll. Lily tucked the blankets around them, her movements gentle and careful, like she wanted to protect them from the whole world. As the children drifted to sleep, Lily and Daniel sat a short distance away. The night sounds grew louder, crickets chirping and a soft breeze moving through the open doors of the barn. "Thank you again," Lily said quietly. "I didn't know what I was going to do if you said no." Daniel looked at the floor. "I've been there, not with kids, but with nowhere to go. It's not a good feeling."
Lily nodded.
"My father used to be different. He used to help people. But after my mother passed, he changed. Everything became about control. Tonight he said I was weak for asking for help." Daniel frowned. "Asking for help isn't weakness. It's being human." Lily looked at him surprised. Her eyes shined in the lantern light. "No one's ever said that to me before." They sat in silence again, but this time it felt comfortable, the kind of silence that didn't feel empty. Daniel stood up. "You can stay as long as you need to figure out your next step. I won't push you out in the morning." Lily's breath caught. "Are you serious?" He nodded.
"I've got some small jobs around here. Feeding animals, cleaning stalls."
"If you're willing, you can help out. That way you don't feel like you're just taking." Tears rolled down her cheeks, and she did not try to hide them this time. "I don't even know what to say."
"Say you'll get some rest," Daniel replied gently.
"You look like you need it." Lily laughed softly through her tears. "I do. More than you know." She lay down near her children, pulling the blanket over herself. Daniel turned down the lantern light and headed toward the door.
"Good night," he said. "Good night, Daniel," Lily replied.
As he walked back to his house, Daniel looked over his shoulder at the barn. The light was dim now, but he could still see the shapes of 3 people resting inside. His quiet ranch did not feel so quiet anymore. For the first time in a long while, he felt like he was not alone in the world. Inside the barn, Lily listened to the night sounds and felt something she had not felt in a long time: peace. Not because her problems were gone, but because someone had chosen to care. She held her children close and whispered a promise to herself that tomorrow would be different. Morning came slowly to the ranch. Soft light slipped through the cracks in the barn walls and painted thin golden lines across the hay. The animals stirred first. A cow shifted its weight and let out a low sound. A horse stamped the ground and shook its mane. These gentle noises woke Lily before anything else did. She opened her eyes and for a moment forgot where she was. Then she felt the rough hay beneath her and saw the wooden beams above her. She turned her head and saw Noah and Rose sleeping close to her sides. Their faces were calm, their breathing slow and steady. She smiled. For the first time in many nights they had slept without fear. Lily carefully sat up, trying not to wake them. Her body felt tired, but her heart felt lighter. She wrapped the blanket around her shoulders and stood, stretching quietly. The barn felt peaceful in the early morning. Dust floated in the air, glowing in the soft sunlight. She heard footsteps outside. The door creaked open, and Daniel stepped in, carrying a small bucket in one hand and a sack in the other. He stopped when he saw Lily awake. "Morning," he said with a small smile. "Morning," Lily replied. "I hope we didn't cause any trouble." "Not at all," Daniel said. "I was coming to feed the animals anyway." Lily watched as he moved around the barn, calm and sure. He poured grain into troughs and spoke softly to the animals, calling them by names she didn't know. The horse leaned its head toward him, and he gave it a gentle pat. Noah woke up next. He rubbed his eyes and sat up, looking around. When he saw Daniel, he froze for a moment, then relaxed when he remembered where they were. "Is it morning?" Noah asked. "It is," Lily said. Rose followed soon after. She sat up and hugged her doll, then smiled when she saw the sunlight. "It's pretty here," she said. Daniel overheard her and smiled. "It can be, if you like quiet." The children stood and walked around the barn, careful not to get too close to the larger animals. Daniel showed them how to hold out a hand so the horse could sniff it. Noah laughed when the horse's nose tickled his palm. Rose clapped softly, her eyes wide with wonder. Lily watched them, her chest warm with gratitude. It had been a long time since she had seen them laugh like that. Daniel went back outside and returned with a small basket. "I don't have much," he said, "but I've got some eggs and a bit of milk." Lily's eyes widened. "That's more than enough." They sat on a wooden crate near the barn door and shared a simple breakfast. The children ate happily, talking about the animals and asking Daniel 100 questions. Where did the horse sleep? Why did the cow make that sound? How big was the ranch? Daniel answered each one patiently. He even told them stories about storms he had seen and how he had once chased a chicken halfway across the field. Lily laughed, surprised by how easy it felt to laugh again. After breakfast, Lily stood up and brushed off her clothes. "You said there might be work I could help with," she said. Daniel nodded.
"If you're willing, nothing too hard."
"Just small things." "I'd like that," Lily replied. "I don't want to feel like we're just taking." He handed her a small broom. "You can start by sweeping out the corner stalls. The kids can help gather loose hay." Noah and Rose cheered, happy to have a job. They ran around picking up small piles of hay and making neat stacks. As they worked, Lily felt a strange sense of peace. The work was simple, but it felt good to do something useful. Her mind did not race with worry the way it usually did. She focused on the sound of the broom against the ground and the way the sunlight moved across the floor. At one point, a neighbor rode past the barn. The man slowed his horse and looked inside. His eyes moved from Lily to the children, then to Daniel. "Didn't know you had company," the neighbor said. Lily felt her face grow warm. She suddenly felt like she did not belong there, like she was in the wrong place. Daniel stepped forward. "They're staying for a bit," he said calmly. The neighbor raised an eyebrow. "That so?" Daniel nodded. "That's so?" The neighbor shrugged and tipped his hat before riding on. Lily let out a breath she did not realize she had been holding. "Sorry about that," she said quietly. Daniel shook his head. "You don't have to apologize for existing." Lily looked at him, surprised by his words. She felt something inside her shift. No one had ever said that to her before. The rest of the morning passed in gentle work. They cleaned, fed the animals, and even found time to sit under a tree and rest. The children played in the grass, pretending the tree was a castle and they were brave guards. Lily sat beside Daniel on the old fence. "You're good with them," she said. He shrugged. "They remind me of myself when I was young, always curious. Always asking questions." "Did you grow up here?" Lily asked.
"Not here," Daniel said, "but on a small place like this."
"My parents worked hard. They taught me how to take care of things. After they passed, I kept going." "I'm sorry," Lily said. He nodded. "It was a long time ago. You learned to carry it with you." Lily looked out at the fields. "I don't know what I'm going to do next," she admitted. "I just know I want my kids to feel safe." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "You already doing that. You walked all day for them." "That takes strength." Lily swallowed. "I didn't feel strong. Most strong people don't," he replied. The afternoon came with warm air and soft clouds. Lily helped Daniel mend a broken fence while the kids sat nearby, drawing pictures in the dirt with sticks. Rose drew a barn, a horse, and 3 small figures holding hands. "Is that us?" Lily asked. Rose nodded.
This is our new place, she said simply.
Lily felt tears rise again, but this time they were not from pain. As the sun began to lower, Daniel brought out more simple food. They ate together outside, watching the sky turn orange and pink. "Can we stay again tonight?" Noah asked. Daniel smiled. "You can." The children cheered. Lily closed her eyes for a moment, letting the relief wash over her. That night, back in the barn, Lily lay awake for a while, listening to the sounds of the ranch. The wind moved through the fields. An owl called in the distance. The children slept beside her, safe and warm. She thought about her father, about the hard words he had said, and about the long road they had walked. Then she thought about Daniel, about his quiet kindness and steady voice. For the first time in a long while, Lily felt like the world was not only a place of doors closing. Sometimes she realized it was also a place where doors opened. She reached over and pulled the blanket close around her children. "Tomorrow will be better," she whispered, not just to them but to herself. Outside, the moon rose over the fields, shining softly on the barn, the house, and the wide open land. And inside, 3 tired hearts and 1 lonely cowboy rested under the same sky, slowly becoming something like a small, unexpected family. The next morning began with a soft breeze that moved through the fields and brushed against the barn doors. Lily woke before the children again, listening to the gentle sounds of the ranch. The quiet no longer felt empty. It felt full, like something good was waiting to happen. She sat up slowly and looked at Noah and Rose. They were still asleep, their faces peaceful. Lily smiled and stood, careful not to wake them. She stepped outside the barn and breathed in the fresh air. The sky was clear and the sun was just starting to rise, painting the land with pale gold. Daniel was already awake. He was near the fence, fixing a loose board with a small hammer. He looked up when he saw Lily. "Morning," he said. "Morning," she replied. "You're always up early." "Habit," he said with a small grin. Lily walked over and held the board steady while he finished fixing it. They worked in quiet, but it did not feel awkward. It felt comfortable, like they had known each other longer than just a couple of days. After the fence was done, Daniel brought out a small bucket of feed. "The chickens are noisy today," he said. "They'll wake the kids soon if we don't give them something," Lily laughed softly. "I'll help." They walked to the small coop and scattered feed on the ground. The chickens rushed forward, pecking and clucking happily. Lily watched them and felt a strange sense of calm. The simple rhythm of the ranch was starting to feel like something she could belong to. Noah and Rose came running out of the barn a few minutes later. "Can we help today?" Noah asked, already excited. Daniel nodded. "Of course. I've got a job just for you." He handed Noah a small bucket and showed him how to carry water from the pump to a trough. Rose followed behind, holding a cloth and wiping down a low wooden rail. They worked together through the morning. Lily swept. Daniel repaired a gate, and the children moved around with their small tasks, proud of every little thing they finished. At one point, Lily noticed a man standing at the edge of the property. He was tall, with a stiff posture and a serious face. Her heart skipped a beat when she realized who it was. "It's my father," she whispered. Daniel looked up and followed her gaze. He saw the man walking closer, his steps slow but firm. Lily's hands began to shake. She had not expected to see him so soon. She thought about the last words he had said to her, about the way his face looked when he told her to leave. Daniel set down his tools and walked over to her. "Do you want me to stay here?" he asked quietly. Lily nodded. Her father stopped a few steps away from them. He looked at the barn, the animals, and the children playing in the dirt. "So this is where you ran off to," he said. Lily took a deep breath.
"I didn't run," she replied. "I had nowhere else to go." He looked at Daniel.
"This your place?" "Yes," Daniel said calmly. Her father crossed his arms. "You letting strangers stay here?" Daniel nodded. "They're not causing trouble. They're helping out." Lily felt a mix of fear and anger rise in her chest. "We're not trouble," she said. "We just needed a place to sleep." Her father looked at the children. Noah and Rose had stopped playing and were watching the adults quietly. Something in his expression softened, just a little. "I didn't mean for things to go that far," he said. Lily's voice shook. "You told us to leave. You said we were a burden." He looked down at the ground. "I was angry. I said things I shouldn't have." Daniel spoke gently. "Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is what you do after." Lily's father sighed. "I came to see if you were safe," he said. "I didn't know where you went." Lily felt tears rise, but she held them back. "We are safe," she said. "But we can't go back to how things were." He nodded slowly. "I see that." There was a long moment of silence. The wind moved through the grass. A bird called from a nearby tree. "I'm not asking you to come back today," he said finally. "I just wanted to know you and the kids were okay." Lily looked at him, surprised. "We are," she said. He glanced at Daniel. "Thank you for helping them." Daniel tipped his hat. Anyone would. Her father gave a small nod and turned to leave. Lily watched him walk away, feeling a strange mix of sadness and relief. After he was gone, Lily let out a long breath. "I didn't expect that," she said. Daniel looked at her. "Sometimes people need time to cool down." She nodded. "I hope he finds his way." The rest of the day passed with a lighter feeling in the air. Lily felt like a heavy weight had been lifted from her chest. She worked with more energy, and even laughed when Noah spilled water on his own boots. In the afternoon, a neighbor came by again, this time with a basket of apples. "I heard you had some little helpers," the neighbor said, smiling at the kids. Noah and Rose beamed. The neighbor handed the basket to Lily.
"For all of you." Lily felt surprised. "Thank you."
That's very kind. Daniel's not the only one who believes in second chances, the neighbor said before riding away.
They sat under the tree and shared the apples. The children told stories about the animals, making up funny names and silly adventures. Daniel laughed more than Lily had seen him laugh before. As the sun began to set, the sky filled with soft colors again. They gathered near the barn, tired but happy. "Do you think we could stay a little longer, Lily?" asked Daniel quietly. "Just until I figure out my next step." Daniel nodded. "You're welcome here." Lily felt her throat tighten. "I don't know how to thank you." He shrugged. "You already are. You're helping. You're being kind. That's enough." That night, Lily lay on the hay, looking up at the beams of the barn. She listened to the children's breathing and thought about everything that had happened in just a few days. She had walked down a road with fear in her heart, not knowing where it would lead. Now she was here in a place where people spoke gently, where doors opened instead of closing. She did not know what the future would look like. She only knew that, for now, she was not alone. Outside, Daniel sat on the steps of his house, looking at the stars. He thought about how quiet his life had been before Lily and the kids arrived. The quiet had been easy, but it had also been empty. Now, the night felt different. It felt alive. He stood and walked back to the barn. He checked the doors, making sure everything was secure. He paused for a moment, listening to the soft sounds inside. "Good night," he whispered, not expecting an answer. But inside, Lily stirred and smiled, even in her sleep. The morning arrived quietly, with soft golden light spilling across the fields. The air was cool but fresh, carrying the earthy smell of the barn and the warm scent of hay. Lily woke first as usual and sat up slowly. The children were still sleeping, their small bodies curled under the blankets she had tucked around them the night before. She smiled softly, feeling a warmth in her chest she had not felt in a long time. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. She stepped carefully out of the barn, brushing hay from her clothes. The ranch looked peaceful in the early light. The animals were already awake, the cows lowing softly, the chickens clucking and pecking at the ground. Daniel was near the fence, feeding the horses. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Morning," he said. "Sleep well?" Lily nodded. "Yes." "And the children?" "They slept through most of it," Daniel replied. "They're strong sleepers." Lily smiled, appreciating his words. She felt a bond with him growing stronger each day. He was calm and steady, someone she could trust. That trust had been hard for her to find, especially after being pushed out by her father. She looked at Daniel and wondered if people like him always existed, or if he was rare, a kind of person who chose to care when the world was often harsh. The morning passed with quiet work. Daniel showed the children how to help feed the animals and gather hay. Lily swept and tidied up the barn. The children laughed and ran, their energy bringing life to the quiet space. It was a simple rhythm, but it felt comforting. Lily felt herself relaxing, allowing her mind to rest for the first time in weeks. Suddenly, a distant figure appeared on the road. Lily's heart sank as she recognized the familiar shape. Her father was walking towards the barn, her stomach twisted, and her hands trembled slightly. She hadn't expected him to return so soon, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to face him. She felt a mixture of fear and anger rise inside her. Memories of the harsh words and the cold rejection he had given her before came rushing back. Daniel noticed her change in expression and stepped closer.
"Do you want me to stay with you?"
he asked quietly. Lily nodded, grateful for his presence. He was a steady anchor in the midst of her emotions. Her father stopped a few feet away, his face set and serious. He looked around at the barn, the children, and Daniel. For a moment he didn't speak. He seemed to be taking in the sight of them all, the way the children were playing with the animals, the way Lily stood, calm yet wary. "This is where you've been hiding?" he finally said, his voice low and uncertain. "We haven't been hiding," Lily said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. "We needed somewhere safe to stay." Her father's eyes shifted toward Daniel. "This is your place?" he asked. "Yes," Daniel said calmly.
"And they are helping out. They aren't causing trouble."
Her father crossed his arms and studied them all silently. His gaze lingered on the children, their small faces bright and curious. Something softened in his expression, though he did not say a word. Lily felt a surge of emotion. "We're not trouble," she said. "We just needed a place to rest and feel safe." Her father looked down at the ground for a long moment.
"I acted out of anger," he admitted finally. "I said things I shouldn't have said."
Lily swallowed, holding back tears.
"I needed safety, not anger,"
she said quietly. Daniel stepped forward slightly. "Everyone makes mistakes," he said. "What matters is what you do after." Her father's shoulders slumped a little. He glanced at the children again, seeing how happy and comfortable they looked.
"I didn't know where you went or how you were,"
he said.
"I came to see if you were okay."
Lily's voice softened. "We are safe now," she said. "And we are cared for." He nodded slowly as if absorbing her words. "I can see that. I don't expect things to go back to the way they were. I just wanted to make sure you and the kids are all right." For a long moment there was silence. The wind moved gently through the fields. A bird called from a nearby tree. Lily felt her chest relax slightly. She had spoken her truth, and her father had heard it, even if it wasn't the words he wanted to hear. "I'm not asking you to come back right now," he said.
"I just needed to know that you were safe."
"I am," Lily said firmly. He looked at Daniel again.
"Thank you for helping them." Daniel tipped his hat. Anyone would. Her father gave a small nod, a sign of understanding, and began walking back toward the road. Lily watched him go, feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. She had not known what to expect, but it had gone better than she could have imagined. When her father was out of sight, Lily let out a long breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "I didn't expect that," she said to Daniel. "People need time to calm down," he said. "Sometimes they don't realize what they're missing until they see it." Lily nodded, thinking about the past weeks, the fear and uncertainty she had felt. It was not completely gone, but it had lessened. She had faced her father and stood firm. She had found safety for herself and her children. The rest of the morning passed with a lighter feeling in the air. They returned to their routine, working in the barn, feeding animals, and tidying the yard. The children laughed and ran around, pretending the fence posts were towers and the hay bales were mountains. Lily watched them and felt a deep warmth in her heart. Their laughter was a sound she had longed to hear, In the afternoon, a neighbor passed by and brought a basket of fresh apples. "I heard you had some little helpers," the neighbor said, smiling at the children. Noah and Rose beamed, running to accept the gift. Lily felt her throat tighten as she took the basket. "Thank you," she said softly. "This means a lot. Daniel isn't the only one who believes in second chances," the neighbor said before riding on. They sat under the big oak tree near the barn and shared the apples. The children told stories about the animals, making up names and adventures. Lily laughed more freely than she had in months. Even Daniel, who was usually quiet, joined in, telling stories from his own childhood on the ranch. As the sun began to sink toward the horizon, the sky turned soft shades of orange, pink, and purple. They gathered near the barn, tired but content. Lily looked at Daniel and whispered, "Do you think we could stay a little longer?" "Just until I figure out what's next." Daniel smiled. "You're welcome here." Tears filled Lily's eyes, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," she said.
"You already have," Daniel replied.
"You're helping, you're caring, you're kind. That's more than enough." That night, back in the barn, Lily lay awake for a while, listening to the gentle sounds of the ranch. The wind moved through the open doors. A soft hoot of an owl echoed from the distance, and the children slept soundly beside her. For the first time in many weeks, she allowed herself to feel hope. Not for herself alone, but for the life she could create for her children. She thought about her father, about his anger and pride, and about the way he had softened after seeing the children happy. She thought about Daniel, whose kindness and steady presence had given her a safe place to rest. And she thought about the children, whose laughter and innocence reminded her of why she needed to keep going. Lily pulled the blankets closer around her children, whispering softly, "Tomorrow will be better. Not just for them, but for herself too." She closed her eyes, feeling the warmth and safety of the barn wrap around her like a protective shield. Outside, the moon rose high over the fields, casting silver light on the barn, the house, and the animals. And inside, 4 hearts, 2 small, 1 young, and 1 older, rested under the same sky, slowly learning that family can be chosen, that kindness can heal old wounds, and that even after fear and hardship, new beginnings are possible. The next morning arrived quietly, the sun rising over the wide fields and bathing the barn in soft golden light. Birds sang from the trees at the edge of the ranch, and the wind carried the fresh scent of earth and grass. Lily woke slowly, listening to the sounds of the barn and the animals stirring. For the first time in many days, she did not wake with a heavy feeling in her chest. She smiled softly, thinking of the past few weeks and how much had changed. She stood carefully, brushing hay from her clothes, and looked at Noah and Rose. Both children were still asleep, their small hands curled around their favorite toys and blankets. Lily took a deep breath, feeling a sense of gratitude she could hardly put into words. Somehow, in the quiet life of the ranch, she and her children had begun to find a place of safety and calm.
Outside, Daniel was already busy with the animals.
He moved with quiet confidence, feeding the horses and calling softly to the cows as he poured grain into the troughs. When he saw Lily, he nodded with a gentle smile. "Morning," he said. "Morning," Lily replied. "I think we all slept well last night," he chuckled softly. "Looks like it. The kids are quiet for now, at least." The children stirred soon after, yawning and stretching as they came out of the barn. Their faces lit up when they saw Daniel and the animals. Noah ran to help with the chickens, carrying small amounts of feed, while Rose carefully brushed some hay off the wooden fence posts. Lily watched them, feeling warmth bloom in her heart. Their laughter, soft and bright, reminded her of how much life could still hold when people cared enough to offer it. Breakfast was simple but comforting. Daniel had brought some bread, eggs, and milk, enough to fill their bellies and give them energy for the day. They sat together under the shade of the big oak tree near the barn. Noah and Rose eagerly told stories about the animals, giving funny names to the horses and pretending the cows could talk. Lily laughed freely at their imagination, a sound she had not heard from herself in weeks. Even Daniel joined in, sharing small stories from his childhood on the ranch, making the children giggle until their cheeks were pink with happiness. After breakfast, Daniel suggested small tasks for everyone to help out around the ranch. Lily helped sweep the barn and tidy the hay, while the children carried water to the troughs and fed the chickens. Daniel fixed a small gate near the edge of the property, explaining the importance of keeping the fence strong so the animals would stay safe. The children listened attentively, eager to help in any way they could. As they worked, Lily noticed how much the children had grown in just a short time. Their confidence had increased, and they moved around the ranch with a sense of belonging that had been missing before. She felt a deep sense of pride watching them, realizing that their little steps toward independence were also steps toward healing for her. Mid-morning, a neighbor came riding slowly down the path toward the barn. He had a friendly smile and a basket filled with fresh vegetables and bread. "I heard you had some helpers," he said warmly, nodding toward the children. "Thought you could use a little extra food." Lily felt her throat tighten as she accepted the gift. "Thank you," she said softly. "It's very kind of you." "You're welcome," the neighbor replied. "Anyone who helps their children like this deserves a little support." He tipped his hat and rode on, leaving Lily feeling grateful for the small kindnesses that had begun to fill her life. By midday, the work on the ranch was done and everyone settled under the shade of the oak tree to rest. The children drew pictures in the dirt with sticks, pretending to map out the barn and the surrounding fields. Lily sat beside Daniel, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face and the soft sounds of the animals around them. She realized that for the first time in a long while she could breathe without tension. She could enjoy the moment knowing her children were safe, cared for, and happy. Daniel spoke softly. "You've done well," he said. "They're thriving because of you," Lily smiled, a tear forming in the corner of her eye. "I didn't think we could ever feel safe again," she admitted.
"But here feels different. It should," Daniel replied. "Everyone deserves a place where they feel safe."
"You've earned it." The children overheard part of their conversation and smiled. They ran toward the barn to fetch more hay, laughing as they played together. Lily followed, carrying a small broom to help clean. Daniel joined in, showing Noah and Rose how to stack the hay neatly. The barn, which had once been just a quiet space for animals, was now alive with the sounds of work, play, and laughter. As the afternoon sun began to dip toward the horizon, Daniel suggested they take a break near the small pond at the edge of the property. The children ran ahead, excited to skip stones across the water. Lily followed slowly, carrying a small basket of bread for a snack. Daniel walked beside her, hands tucked in his pockets, watching the children play. "You've done an amazing job," Daniel said quietly. "They feel safe, they feel cared for, that's because of you." Lily felt tears prick her eyes again, but this time they were tears of relief and joy.
"I never thought I could provide this," she said, "but I want to."
"I want them to have more than I ever had."
Daniel nodded. "And you will. They already have it. You're showing them what love and care look like."
They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the gentle ripples of the pond and the children's laughter. The sky began to fill with warm shades of orange and pink as the sun prepared to set. Lily felt a sense of hope that she had not known in years. The past was painful, but the present offered a chance to build something better. As the children ran back to the barn, tired from playing, Lily and Daniel walked behind them. The barn doors were open, letting in the last light of day. Inside, they found fresh blankets laid out and hay stacked neatly. Lily tucked the children in, smiling as they snuggled into their blankets. Noah yawned and whispered, "Thank you for helping us, Mom," while Rose hugged her doll tightly, whispering, "We're safe now." Lily leaned against the wall of the barn, watching them sleep. She felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that her children were finally safe. She looked at Daniel, who stood nearby, watching over all of them with quiet strength.
"Thank you,"
she whispered. "For everything." "You don't need to thank me," Daniel replied softly. "I'm just glad you're safe. That's what matters." The night settled over the ranch, calm and quiet. The moon rose high above the fields, casting silver light across the barn, the pond, and the animals resting nearby. Lily sat beside the children for a few moments longer, letting the peace of the night wash over her. She thought about the journey that had brought them here, about the fear, the uncertainty, and the long walk they had taken. And she thought about the kindness of a man who had given them more than just a barn to sleep in. He had given them hope. Lily whispered to the children, "Tomorrow, we'll start a new day together. We'll work, play, and take care of each other. We'll keep going, and it will be good." Noah stirred slightly and mumbled, "I like it here." Rose hugged her doll and whispered, "Me too." Lily smiled, feeling her heart swell. The simple life surrounded by animals, open fields, and people who cared was more than she could have hoped for. It was a beginning, a new chapter where her children could grow, laugh, and feel safe. And in that quiet golden night, Lily realized that home was not just a place. It was the people who chose to stand by you when the world had turned its back. It was the love, the trust, and the small acts of kindness that made life worth living. Daniel stepped closer and whispered, "Good night, Lily. You've done well today." "Good night," she replied, feeling the warmth of gratitude and peace spread through her. "And thank you for helping us find this place." As she lay down near her children and pulled the blankets close, Lily felt a sense of contentment she had never known. The moonlight danced softly on the barn walls, illuminating the quiet space where 4 lives had come together. The laughter, the work, the care, and the hope would continue into tomorrow. And for the first time in a long while, Lily, Noah, Rose, and Daniel felt the beginnings of a true family, built not by blood alone, but by trust, kindness, and the choice to care for one another. The night stretched on, calm and gentle. The barn, the ranch, and the open fields beyond were filled with a sense of safety, hope, and belonging. Lily whispered softly, "We'll be okay," and for the first time in years, she truly believed it.